The dichotomy of life, your internal and external reality, they are intertwined, men. When there's frustration is when there's a lack of A, needs not being met, but B, a lack of alignment between the two. That more often than not happens when you're bouncing between past pleasure or pain, future fear or fantasy. And when you bounce between these two areas or these 2 points in life, what you're actually stealing is the precious moments in the now. Really just talk about the dichotomy of life. Too often in this world, we get punched in the face with things that show us that we are either insignificant or not worthy of creating positive changes, or what we're doing is not enough. And this is a frustration for a lot of us as men, because we fucking break our backs, don't we? We bust our ass more often than not, sacrificing for the family and those that we love and care about at the chronic cost of ourselves. The reason why I've called this the dichotomy of life, boys, is because the dichotomy, which is ultimately, in a contradictory type sense, creating a separation between our external and internal realities, is really present for us, which creates a disconnect in life. What do you mean by that, Al? What I mean is we feel insignificant at times because of the pressure, the chaos, the storm that we're in, and the big moving parts outside of us that makes us feel like we don't have the energy, the gusto, the balls, the ability, the courage to stand up, fight for what's right, and create positive influence and change in the world. When what we quickly forget, boys, is, and this is the dichotomy of life, they are two sides of the same coin. Bear with me here. Yes, there's quantum mechanics involved. Yes, there's the double slit theory. I'm not going to talk about that today, but ultimately, without your consciousness present to observe and engage in reality, there is no external reality that matters inside of your life. And this is something you need to understand. The picture that I'm painting here is for you to recognize that you are so fucking valuable and important inside of your life. I'm not here just to gas you up. I'm not here to be the big motivational wizard. I can do that. I can do that very well and very easily. But without context to bring a point for you to have these explorations and discoveries inside of your own life, nothing changes. You feel great for fucking 2 days and then you fall to shit again. The dichotomy of life, your internal and external reality, they are intertwined, men. When there's frustration is when there's a lack of A, needs not being met, but B, a lack of alignment between the two. That more often than not happens when you're bouncing between past pleasure or pain, future fear or fantasy. And when you bounce between these two areas or these 2 points in life, what you're actually stealing is the precious moments in the now. And it's this now from which you have complete power, complete control to reinvigorate your life, create stability again, which equals freedom. Because you've got the right platform to launch and get after life and grab life by the balls. This can't happen, guys, if you don't start first and foremost, which is a fucking chronic and universal flaw inside of us as men. If you don't first start valuing yourself and having, whether you want to call it self-love, self-respect, self-worth, self-value, all of that starts with you. Because when you hear things like that old saying, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Apart from the sheer mechanics that create sound, which is the inner workings of the eardrum, otherwise it's just vibration, sound actually doesn't exist. I asked the question one layer deeper going, what tree? And I'm not saying that me sitting here in the office means that my car down in the car park doesn't exist, but what fucking tree? If there's some tree in Africa, and you're right here and now in New South Wales, Victoria, Western Australia, Northern Territory, Canberra, Tasmania, Queensland, it doesn't fucking matter, mate. It's not part of your reality. It's irrelevant. When we lose sight of what we can control in being here and present in the now, and then starting to tap into leveraging the internal reality, which is your consciousness, what you observe and what you see and you take part of, like looking at my fucking hands and using them to get to work, you then start to create a level of power and influence to create the change in your life that you desire. But too often, guys, we're stuck too zoomed in on life, just reacting and spotting the fires and putting them out without the ability to zoom out and go, man, I am fucking life itself. Because you are. I'm not here just to hold, and I've got no problem if you guys like it, to hold pinkies around a fire and sing Kumbaya. And I know that might sound a bit cliche or stereotyping. I'm not stereotyping, discriminating. I'm painting a picture in our head to go, this isn't just about fluff and feelings. It's leveraging the feelings of what's going on inside you. Go, hang on, I'm the fucking man. I've got to do something about it. And this is what I'm going to do because this is my world. And you're all part of it. And not in a state of solipsism where it's like I'm the only one. It's your life too. You're important. This is your world as well. Don't ever forget that. So when I'm talking about being an amazing husband or father or business owner or worker or colleague, you know, someone who's a member of society, when I'm talking about all these different moving parts outside of yourself, they all go in your head. That's a hat. It's something you put on and something you take off. Like, I don't deliver like this to you the same way as I do to my children. It's a little bit different. In fact, kids are crazy in a lot of ways. They are teachers and leaders, and they hold a lot of the frame at times, which is fascinating. They're different hats that we wear, but they always will go on your head. And that's one of the most valuable parts, and that is the most valuable part. And I'm open to discussion and dialogue on this, but everything you do, guys, you do for yourself. And I've said that before many times. It's a universal truth. It's an absolute. And I've had people go, no, hang on now. I don't like getting up at 2 a.m. just to fucking change my babies. I change it for them. No. You get up at 2 a.m. and you change your fucking daughter's nappy because she's got shit everywhere, because of the responsibilities and standards you uphold as being a good father who gives his daughter a clean ass so she can go back to sleep. So guess what? You can go back to sleep and you can have a restful night for the rest of the night. The reason why the hero jumps in front of the speeding bullet is because of the preconceived idea and perceptions of him being seen, whether he's here or not, if he's dead, as a hero, as a member of society, because ego driven or not, that's a part of his makeup, that he's created a fantasy, even after the fact that he might not be here to experience it, that this is who he is seen as by others. And that brings him a level of fulfillment, importance, and significance. Everything we do in this world, fellas, we do for ourselves. The question you need to ask yourself is what I'm doing for myself having a ripple effect of love and leadership to those that I love and care about that are outside in my external reality that connects to me feeling more rewarded, more fulfilled in my internal reality of who I am as a man, as a father, as a husband, as fucking Alex, as Bill, as James. Doesn't matter. They're all just fucking words. This is expressing energy. But painting that universal truth for a lot of you will bring a light bulb moment to go, hey, if that's the truth, if that's to be, and I'm open to discussion, I don't really like opinions, but I'd love to see someone argue because I haven't seen anyone prove that wrong. To some degree, there's always a level of something for me and fulfillment, even when they're hidden trades under the table, even when you're chronically sacrificing yourself for the family. As a martyr, you can throw your fucking hands up and lose responsibility and go, oh, I just did it all for them. Well, of course you did, but you did it for yourself, so you can throw your hands up in the air and sacrifice yourself for the family without liberating the actions you need to live a longer, fruitful life on actually making sure you're 100%, so everyone gets 100% first. Not I gave 30% for 15 years and now everyone's fucked out, because no one wins there, we know that. All this comes down to the common denominator, you. I say it time and time again, you are your greatest asset. The moment you forget that is the second you become your greatest liability. Boys, the dichotomy of life is this. We think that there's this big wide world out there. Who cares about fucking billions of stars and galaxies and all that sort of stuff? We think there's this big external thing that makes us feel insignificant, yet it is you that creates a level of significance in life because you're living through your eyes, your sensory perceptions, and you're creating experiences for yourself and your children. Which means whilst we might think that there's a separation between the outside world and what's going on inside of yourself, you are one and the same. What you're creating isn't a case of just thinking and it becomes. It takes time. It takes work. It takes years to build, develop, refine, to create consistency, to carve out the right energetic expression for your children, to raise them, to develop yourself, to level up yourself, to look through the pit of everyone else who's fucking falling apart or settling when most people, most men have already died, they just haven't been buried yet, to go, no, I'm a fucking leader, I'm going to rise up and I'm going to create more in my life. You know why? Because I choose to. Because what's the alternative? This is my life that I'm living and breathing through my eyes and the breath through my lungs that creates life itself. Comment on your revelations and takeaways, those who are watching this, those watching the replay, #replay. How are you going to use this lesson, this understanding that, you know what, I am connected to everything and I'm frustrated, I'm isolated, I'm alone, I'm triggered when, you know what, they don't align. The whole insanity, same thing again and again, expecting different outcome. I get that. True insanity is actually when there's a lack of alignment, but you have an expectation or assumption that it should just be a certain way without first earning the right to play. We're all fucked up to a degree, man, you know, and we all have lists. So what can we do to clear the muddy waters, to get rid of some of the mess, and to break these shackles and go, you know what, I'm here and now, what can I do about it? How can I actually use and leverage who I am inside, not just my perceptions, but literally the gift that I am, because you are, the gift of life, in rising up, having a gas tank to be able to perform, make sure the hats I'm putting on my head are ones that are true to me, saying the right yeses to the right things that are important in your life, saying lots of no's. You should say more no's than you do yeses to create healthy boundaries, to live a meaningful life that is yours. Because that's what this is about. Whilst we look at the dichotomy of life where there's an outside world and inside world, it is one in the same. They aren't separate, they are together. This is your life and this is your world. What's your action plan? What are your steps? What are the habits that you're trying to bring in? You only need one each month in family and self and service. And what are the habits you're trying to cut away that are no longer serving you, so you can shed and cut the dead wood from your life and level up? Because I tell you what, man, the next year is just around the corner. And calendars or not, 92% of New Year's resolutions being failed in the first 4 weeks or not, we need to make sure that we're setting the right foundations, not for our children or our wives or our work or business, or for ourselves, so we can go out and fucking hunt life and create and live a fruitful life because we've stood up, we did what we said we would do, and we didn't cast away with the judge and the victim inside us settling and pulling down and falling apart when we're right in the eye of the storm. Take care, men. Have an amazing week. Comment below revelations, takeaways, and also what's your plan? What do you need to do to create alignment of what you feel in here and what you want to be true out there, and how you're going to take the right actions to go out and get it.